Hi there, this is Java Jim with First Line Equipment. Hope you're doing fine today. And in front of us, we're going to go into a little more detail in regards to the Mazzer Robur S espresso coffee grinder. As you can see here, we have a VBMA portafilter, and it's kind of tilted up a little bit. So we kind of want to make an adjustment to the portafilter so it's a little more level out. And there are two tongues here. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to loosen the screw on this side. Okay, and we're going to loosen the screw on the other side. Hold the portafilter there. And basically, if you want to get a leveler, you can get a leveler to adjust to make it nice and even. And then we'll tighten the one screw. And these tongues do hold the portafilter in place, and the machine does come with longer tongues that you can install here in case you have a much deeper portafilter and basket that needs to go in there as well. So now we have the spout or the funnel that's coming towards the back here, and you would basically get a Phillips head screwdriver, and this is pretty easy to turn, so I can even actually, I'm sorry, not a Phillips head, a flathead screwdriver. We can turn this in by hand and double check. And now we're a little more towards center. I'm going to go in a little bit more. Where we want to get close to center as possible right here. And we can go even a little further. And every portafilter may be a little bit different. Depending on what size it is. So it could be 53, 57, 58, 51. So every portafilter, and we basically want the funnel to get as close as possible. And now I'm going to go with the short fingernails. I like to keep them nice and short. And just get in a little bit more. And bam, we're close to the center here where the funnel is going to drop the ground espresso coffee. Now there could be a little twirling action on the inside, so I might need a little bit more adjustment. Now the other thing is the space between the bottom of the funnel and the portafilter, we may want to adjust that, and then we can basically loosen these two Phillips head screws. And as you can see, it's moving downwards. Then I'm going to put the portafilter in place. And as you can see, the middle screw here moves up and down. At first I'm like, whoa, how's this going to work? But it actually moves up and down, which is a really nice design on the center screw. And then here we're going to basically, so if you want a further drop, you can go here. If you want to bring it up as close as possible, we're going to move it there. And then tighten the screws. Now, the drop sometimes will help break up if there's a little bit of clumping involved. If you're going super fine on a certain type of, say, a lightly roasted blend, you might want a further drop because you're going to be grinding super fine, and that would help break up a little bit of the clumping. In my school book, when you're tamping, especially if you're tamping at 30 pounds, basically what's going to end up happening is I believe that you're basically clumping the coffee in the basket. Because typically that type of clumping is not going to be greater than 30 pounds in my school book. You may disagree. If you do, comment below and let me know. I'll put that in there, and that pretty much sets the nice level and be as close as possible to the top. To adjust the grind settings, we should always have the grinder running. If we don't, what happens is some of the grinds that may be inside between the two burrs or the burr set may get compacted between the two burrs and stick to the burrs, which will result in only a coarse grind no matter how fine you go on this grinder. So it's always a good idea to keep it running. You can use the single dose, triple dose, manual button while you're changing the settings. To go finer, we want to go to a smaller number. So we're at 0, but then there's 9 and then 8 here. So really we want to get in this direction. So we get 9 here, and then 8 will come to the front, and there's a little marker right here in the front. So we can turn this grinder on and run it, and basically I'm going to turn it over, and what happens is it basically locked here. So what we want to do is take this adjustment screw out, Okay, and it's a little on the tight side. And lefty loosey counterclockwise on the screw. Take the screw out, move the adjustment lever here on the bottom. Okay, lock that in, and then we'll turn it on again. Oop, too tight there, so we're going to loosen it. Knock the grinds out of the portafilter, and there we go. And the grind is getting finer and finer. Now I'm all the way here again, so need to move this, take it out. Just don't lose this locking screw here. Turn that back in, keep it a little loose. And then the adjustment lever, I can move from this side and put it in on this side. Because again, we have this locking mechanism for the bean hopper that has a tongue in here to make sure that the grinder has the bean hopper, so it's basically for safety. And then I'm going to put the portafilter back in, grind, and now I'm going to go even finer. Okay, so it's getting really fine now. And then we could turn this again. So this is going to give you a limited range to change the grind settings. Once you've completed this, and you've basically with the manual button fill the basket, and then once you check that on your espresso machine, so if it's coming out too fast of a pour, typically in my school book it's 5 to 7 seconds where the pour, once you start making the espresso, it starts coming through the spout is 5 to 7 seconds. Could be 8 for some, 9 for others. 4 is a little fast, 4 seconds a little fast on that side. So you would go finer. I like to keep the same dosage on the ground coffee in the basket so that doesn't change. And then once you determine that 5 to 7 second range, then you could start programming the amount of coffee to grind, and this will give you that limited range, and you don't really have to change the timing or the programming of the time as much, but you can do by like 1/100th of a second here. It's pretty crazy what you can do with the programming of the single, double, and triple dose. So with this, first determine the grind size, keep the dosage the same on the basket, and then you could program the time, as we've shown in our other video on how to do the programming of that. So this is how you basically operate the grind lever settings mechanism. So you can make those adjustments, and then again you can lock this locking screw right here to keep it at the same setting. Now from one day to the next, you may need to make that little adjustment as the coffee ages. Sometimes you need to go a little finer because the oils are being drawn back into the coffee bean, and it's also oxidizing. So you may need to go finer. You may need to go coarser if you get a fresh batch of beans in. So you have that limited range to work here, and this is usually a pretty good range. It's one thing that we really like about the grinder. So this is basically how to go over the adjustment of the handle or the holder for the filter handle, and then also changing the grind while it's operating, and then you should be good to go. We thank you for watching here at First Line Equipment. Once again, Java Jim with First Line. We appreciate it. Give us a thumbs up if you can, subscribe up here, and have a great day.